This was a total accident, at least that's the lie they went with. My sister completely lost it on Thanksgiving morning, acting like my kid's world being torn apart was no bigger deal than spilling a little gravy on the table. Right there on the hardwood, his brand new iPhone 17 Pro Max was a wreck. The screen looked like shattered ice, the silver frame was twisted, and the camera lenses were spiderwebbed. One corner of it was actually still spinning from the impact after it slammed into the dining chair leg. My boy Leo just stood there like a statue. His hands were hanging limp at his sides, and you could see his chin trembling because he was fighting so hard to keep from breaking down. My 10-year-old niece Mia, who's been raised with that kind of entitlement you only get when you've never been told no, was still clutching this empty pie server like it was a sword she just used in battle. Then my sister Jillian just crosses her arms and has the nerve to say that if Leo hadn't been flaunting the phone, Mia wouldn't have snatched it. The whole room just went dead silent. Nobody budged. Not my mom, who stayed glued to the stove. Not my brother-in-law, who just stared out the window sipping his coffee. Not even my stepfather, who kept right on tucking rolls into a basket like this was just background noise to a normal holiday. I dropped down to Leo's level and asked him, "Buddy, are you hurt?" He just shook his head at first, but that's his reflex. He's always been more worried about being easy to get along with than being honest about how he feels. Then he looked down at that ruined phone and whispered that it was okay, and that he didn't deserve it anyway. Hearing that absolutely gutted me. Kids don't just come up with stuff like that on their own. They pick it up, they soak it in, and they hear it so many times that they actually start to believe it's the truth. I stood back up so slowly that it felt like the whole room had to pull back to give me space. Jillian let out this big dramatic sigh. She told me, "Oh my God, don't even start, it was just an accident." I just stared at her and repeated, "An accident?" She doubled down, saying that honestly my kid was being a brat. She claimed Mia just asked to see it and he pulled it away like she was some kind of thief. I saw Leo's eyes go wide at the lie. "I didn't," he started to say, but I just put my hand up, not to shut him up but to shield him. The truth is, I didn't need to see it happen to know exactly how it went down. Mia wanted something that didn't belong to her. Leo wasn't sure about giving it up. Then Jillian's kid, who's been fed a steady diet of excuses, just grabbed for it. And because breaking things is a lot easier for her than hearing the word no, she smashed a $1,300 phone and just waited for the adults to fix the mess, just like they always do. I looked at Jillian, who's 6 months along with her second kid, wearing this cream maternity dress that I paid for because she needed to look classy for the family photos. Her hair was perfect, her nails were done, and she had this gold bracelet on her wrist, all bought with money she has zero intention of ever paying back. I told her straight up, "You're going to replace that phone." Jillian actually had the gall to laugh at me. "With what money?" she asked. That got some pretty awkward looks from the rest of the family, because everyone knew the deal. For the last year and a half, whenever my sister played that card, I was the one who ended up footing the bill. See, I'm 37, divorced, and I run senior operations for a medical logistics firm. I work crazy hours and I make a great living, but for a long time I felt like since I'd made it out of the struggle, it was my job to drag everyone else up the mountain with me. Our dad passed away when we were kids, and our mom handled it by making me the responsible one, and Jillian the delicate one. I was the daughter who could handle any disaster, while Jillian was the one who always needed a break. That dynamic followed us right into our 30s with a brutal kind of clarity. I paid for things and she needed things. It started with small stuff like helping with rent after one of her breakups or covering the deposit for Mia's daycare. Then it turned into grocery money, emergency dental bills, and even a car payment she promised to pay back once her husband, Marcus, found steady work. Then it was private preschool because Mia deserves the best, followed by dance classes, and then Christmas presents. Then a baby shower, more groceries, and a bigger apartment because their old one wasn't right for the new baby. I even started covering her prenatal care because of some insurance gap. By the time this Thanksgiving rolled around, I'd already quietly signed on for $8,500 to cover her delivery and postpartum care since her deductible was so high and Marcus's freelance work was hit or miss. My mother actually cried on the phone that morning, telling me she didn't know what they'd do without me. Without me. It's a funny way to put it because nobody ever bothered to ask what I was going to do. Nobody asked what it was costing me to keep saying yes to everyone. Nobody cared how many times I passed up something for myself or for Leo because Jillian had another crisis that apparently required the family to step in. 3 weeks before this, I was sitting in a cold financial office working out a payment plan with the hospital. $8,500. I didn't just hand it over, I guaranteed the debt. I'd already locked in the first payment and put the rest on a schedule under my own name because Jillian's credit is a disaster and Marcus's is even worse. My thank you for that was a quick love you, sis text with a pink heart. And now, that same sister was standing in my mom's dining room blaming my 12-year-old son for his own gift being broken. That phone was about more than the price tag. Leo had been wanting it for months, and not because he's some spoiled tech head. He uses it to take photos of everything: the clouds, old buildings, our dog sleeping in the sun, even his science projects. He'd saved up his birthday money and worked extra chores, and he only got it because I paid the difference as a combined Christmas and birthday present. I let him open it that morning because I knew the rest of the day was going to be a circus, and I wanted him to have one good thing before Jillian made the whole holiday about her. Now it was just junk at our feet. Finally, my mother spoke up, telling me, "Sarah, let's not ruin Thanksgiving." I just looked at her and said, "It's already ruined." Jillian put her hand on her stomach in that overly dramatic way she does whenever she's about to be held accountable, and asked me not to stress her out because she's pregnant. And there it was, the family's favorite shield. She's pregnant, she's stressed, she's sensitive, she's doing her best. Meanwhile, my son was standing there next to his broken gift, trying to shrink himself down just so the adults wouldn't feel uncomfortable. I reached down, grabbed the ruined phone, and put it in my purse. I told Leo, "We're leaving." He looked at the pies and the turkey and the table set for 12 people and asked, "But what about dinner?" I just repeated, "We're leaving." Jillian rolled her eyes and said, "Seriously? Over a phone?" I spun around so fast that even Marcus looked nervous. I told her, "No, it's about the fact that my son got hurt. Your daughter broke something expensive because she's spiteful, and everyone in this room is working harder to protect your Felions than they are to protect him." Mia started to sniffle, you know, that fake cry kids do when they realize their usual act isn't working. Jillian snapped back that Mia's just a child, and Leo isn't. I grabbed my son's hand and walked out the door while my mother called after me in that warning tone she's used since I was 15, the one that always reminded me that the rules were never the same for both of us. The drive home was dead quiet, except for the occasional hitch in Leo's breath. When we finally pulled into the driveway, he looked at me and asked, "Mom, did I do something wrong?" I parked the car and looked him right in the eye. "No," I said. "You did absolutely nothing wrong." He swallowed hard and told me that Aunt Jillian always says he acts spoiled when he gets nice things. That felt like a punch to the gut. I reached over and cupped his face and told him to listen to me. Having something nice because your mom worked for it and wanted you to have it doesn't make you spoiled. And nobody gets to break your stuff and then blame you for it. His eyes filled up with tears and he just said, "Okay." I got him inside, made him some hot chocolate even though it was the middle of the day, and told him to head upstairs with a blanket and a movie while I handled the grown-up side of things. Then I sat down at my kitchen island, opened my laptop, and did the one thing my family never thought I'd have the guts to do. I stopped being Jillian's safety net. The hospital payment portal was still open on my screen. I got on the phone with billing, verified who I was, and made sure to cancel authorization for any future payments that hadn't gone through yet. The woman helping me sounded polite, but honestly kind of detached, like she'd done this 100 times already that day. She explained that anything already processed would stay as is, but the remaining scheduled balance would be shifted back to the patient's responsible party by the next morning. "Thank you," I told her. Then I hung up, opened my banking app, and immediately moved the rest of the money I had set aside. I split it between Leo's education fund and a separate line in my household budget, meant for repairs and replacements. That was $8,500 back in my control. After that, I went ahead and canceled the specialty gift box I had planned for Jillian. It was supposed to be something she'd open during dessert, a high-end postpartum recovery package I had carefully put together myself. It included a cashmere robe, meal delivery vouchers, prenatal massage certificates, and tucked inside an envelope beneath tissue paper, there had been confirmation that I'd paid for a private recovery nurse for her first week after giving birth. Some of it wasn't refundable, but enough of it was. So I canceled what I could, kept what I couldn't, and repackaged everything. Then I printed out something new and slipped it into the envelope. By 9 that night, the family group chat was already blowing up. Mom. Sarah, you embarrassed everyone today. Jillian. Mia said she didn't mean it and Leo was showing off anyway. Marcus. Can we all just calm down? Mom, she's under a lot of stress. Jillian. You know I can't afford to replace a phone right now. Me, I know. Those 3 little dots popped up instantly. Jillian. What is that supposed to mean? It means I know exactly what you can't afford. After that, I muted the chat, tucked Leo into bed, and for the first time in months I actually slept well. The next morning, everything blew up. My mom called before 7. Sarah, she hissed the second I answered. Did you cancel the hospital arrangement? Yes, I said. You can't do that. I already did. I could hear her breathing change sharper now. That was for the baby. No, I replied calmly. It was for Jillian. And yesterday made it very clear where I stand in this family. You're being vindictive over a child's mistake. No, I said. I'm reacting to a pattern from an adult. She tried everything, guilt, anger, even tears, but I didn't engage. I just let it all fall into silence until it had nowhere left to go. By 8:30 Jillian called. I put her on speaker while I packed Leo's lunch. How could you do this to me? She cried right away. No hello. No apology. Just pure accusation. The hospital emailed me this morning. They said I'm responsible for the balance. You are, I said. I'm your sister and he's your nephew. That doesn't change anything. It changes everything. She started to say it was an accident again, but I cut her off. Did you tell Mia to apologize? Silence. Did you offer to replace the phone? Another pause. Did you even ask Leo if he was okay? Her tone flipped instantly, sharp and defensive. You always do this. You act like you're better than everyone because you have money. I actually laughed just once because there it was. That familiar family narrative I'd been supporting for years. The idea that money had just somehow fallen into my lap. Not the late nights. Not the weekends. Not the promotions, the deadlines, or the years I spent saying no to myself. Not the fact that I built stability from nothing after a divorce that nearly broke me. To Jillian, the moment I stopped giving, my resources became a flaw. No, I said. I act like someone who's tired of being used. She hung up. Around noon, my stepfather called with his usual calm, disappointed tone. He said families shouldn't keep score. Funny, considering I'd always been the one expected to contribute to that score. At 2, Marcus sent a long message about stress, hormones, and how Jillian didn't really mean what she said. I replied with one line. Leo did. That evening came the final act. Every year after Thanksgiving, my mom hosts a leftovers night. People wander back in, pie gets reheated, and sometimes gifts for the kids reappear from wherever they'd been hidden. Jillian had texted everyone earlier that day saying her dessert gift was still there, and she planned to pick it up. So I drove over with Leo, but I made it clear we were staying 10 minutes. No more. He didn't want to go, but I told him something important. Some endings are better to see for yourself than imagine. The moment we walked in, the room tightened. My mom's lips pressed into that thin, brittle line. Marcus looked drained. Jillian looked confident. Until she noticed the box sitting on the buffet, her name written neatly in black ink. Of course, she assumed I had softened. That was always her mistake. She thought boundaries were just temporary moods. Oh, she said, forcing a sweet tone. You brought it after all. I did, I answered. Leo stood close beside me. I gave his shoulder a quick squeeze. Go ahead, my mom urged, already desperate to smooth things over. Jillian opened the box. Right on top was the robe, folded perfectly. Tissue paper, ribbon, a card. It all looked just right. Her smile came back too quickly. See, she said like she needed everyone to hear it. I told you she was overreacting. Then she opened the envelope. I watched her eyes scan the page once. Then again. The color drained from her face. Inside were 3 things. The cancellation confirmation for the private nurse and postpartum extras. The billing notice transferring the remaining balance back to her household. And a paid invoice from the Apple Store for a brand new iPhone 17 Pro Max, in Leo's name with AppleCare included. At the bottom on a separate card I had written, "This is what I fund now, my child, not your excuses." Jillian looked up like the ground had shifted under her. You humiliated me, she whispered. No, I said evenly. I was very clear. My mom stepped forward. Sarah. I didn't even look at her. Don't. Jillian's hands were shaking. You brought me this just to prove a point? Yes. Marcus rubbed his forehead. Beck. Maybe this could have been handled privately. So could yesterday, I said. But instead my son learned, in a room full of adults, that his pain mattered less than Jillian's comfort. Leo stood quietly beside me, listening to every word. Jillian's voice rose. You're punishing a pregnant woman. No, I said. I'm ending access. That line stopped her cold for half a second. Then something shifted in the room. Because when truth lands, people start recognizing it. My stepfather asked quietly, how much has Sarah been covering? Marcus stared at the floor. Jillian said nothing. So I answered, $8,500. And that's not including groceries, gifts, school pickups, baby furniture, or the rent money from August. My mom went pale. She genuinely didn't know the full amount. Jillian had a habit of pulling support from multiple people, while letting each of them be Lioev. They were the only one helping. I kept going steady now. I paid for your baby shower venue when your card declined. I covered Mia's tuition deposit. I bought your stroller because the one you picked wasn't safe enough. I stocked your fridge twice this month. And yesterday, after your daughter broke my son's phone, you called him spoiled. Jillian's expression changed. That familiar kind of anger that shows up when someone realizes the support they depended on is gone. You think you're some kind of martyr, she snapped. No, I said. I think I should have stopped a long time ago. My mom started crying then, real tears, but not for Leo, not for the years. She was mourning the system that had just collapsed. Can't we fix this? She pleaded. I looked down at my son. We already are. Then I turned to him. Do you want to stay? He glanced around the room, then shook his head. No. Okay, I said. We walked toward the door. Behind us, Jillian's voice came softer this time. So that's it? You're cutting me off? I paused, hand on the doorknob, but I didn't turn around. I'm cutting off the version of me you depended on, the one that taught you hurting my child had no consequences. Then Leo and I left. The weeks after that weren't pretty. Jillian sent long messages swinging between apologies and blame. My mom tried to play peacemaker by acting like both sides were equally right. Marcus asked if I could at least reinstate part of the hospital support. I said no. Not because I didn't care about the baby, but because I finally understood something I should have learned years ago. People who rely on your rescue will always call your boundaries cruel. The only thing I did offer was practical help. I sent Marcus contact info for a hospital financial counselor, a payment assistance program, and 2 local agencies that help with maternal care costs. That was it. No money. No stepping back into that role. And slowly things at home changed. Leo was the first to relax. Kids always notice when pressure lifts. He stopped apologizing before asking for things. He laughed more. He started taking photos again, this time with his new phone. One evening he showed me a picture of sunlight pouring through our kitchen window. It looks peaceful, he said. And it was. For me, I realized something too. My exhaustion hadn't just been from work. It had been emotional. Constant stress. Always waiting for the next problem, the next call, the next guilt-filled request disguised as family obligation. Without that, my home felt lighter, bigger. 3 months later, Jillian gave birth. There was no big reconciliation. No dramatic moment. She and Marcus set up a payment plan. My mom complained privately about their sacrifices. I almost laughed. Welcome to real life. Mia sent Leo a handmade apology card. It was clearly guided by an adult, but the last line looked shaky and genuine. I was jealous and mean. I'm sorry I broke your phone. Leo asked me what he should do with it. That's your choice, I told him. He put it in a drawer. Not thrown away, not displayed. Just kept. Maybe as proof that someone eventually said the right thing, even if it came late. As for my sister, I haven't fully forgiven her. Maybe I never will. In families like mine, forgiveness is often expected on demand. What I have instead is clarity. I understand now that love without boundaries turns into permission. that helping without accountability turns into enabling, and that kids are always watching when adults decide whose failings matter most. The best thing I gave that Thanksgiving wasn't the phone. It wasn't even the box that forced the truth into Jillian's hands. It was this. My son saw me choose him. Fully. Publicly. Without apology. And no amount of money I ever gave my sister could come close to being worth that. Thanks for sticking with me. If you've got thoughts, feel free to share them. See you soon and take care.